Homegirl was fighting them while having contractions. She's in pain. Killing men. How awesome is that?
This here is all about my wife, my kids, the life that I live. Through the night, I was his. It was right what I did. My ups and downs, my slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls. My somebody stop, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
You are the Dragon Reborn.
Hi guys, this is Natasha, aka Natty Willie, and I am here to review for you episode 7 of The Wheel of Time. Welcome to TeamJVS. If this is your first time here, make sure you click subscribe if you want to listen to or watch more of my videos about The Wheel of Time, and plus we have other content as well, so just make sure you subscribe. But welcome. And please leave a comment below about what you think of the episode. This was a major turning point. We finally know who the Dragon Reborn is. I've been knowing for years who it is, and now it's finally revealed. So hey, welcome to the club. This episode is titled The Dark Along the Ways. And this cold open, we get a flashback. Rand, his mom, is an Aiel woman. So when you go back to episode 3, and Tom is explaining about the Aiel and how they fight, and if their veil's up, you're dead. But even with their veil down, they're very efficient and very much a killing machine. She killed, I want to say, 6 men before she was really like trying to give birth here to Rand. That's badassery right there. The Aiel, there's a reason they're favorites among fans. You just got a taste of it. I can't really talk much about their society, but I have a feeling that they may incorporate, or we'll get introduced to more Aiel men in season 2. So we'll see. We will definitely see. But this cold open, of the cold open so far in the show, I want to say this is my favorite. Logain was good, like Swan was good last week, but this week, homegirl, Rand's mom, ma'am, you did your damn thing. The choreography of that scene, just the way that she was moving, the way that the people that she was fighting was moving. We don't really have a confirmation of who she was fighting, but I do know who she was fighting because it is a flashback. Hopefully we will get a little more information about that war. I'm hoping that's in the extra content. I have not had a chance to see extra content this week as far as explaining what that battle was. It was Dragonmount. Dragonmount has been mentioned, at least in the extra content, so at least I mentioned that. When she's literally giving birth, we see a familiar harem mark blade, and that's Tam. You know, now we're back in present day. But we're gonna build up to that. So let's talk about the ways. The ways, I liked it and I didn't like it. I understood why they had to have like flashes of light and how Machin Shin was introduced. I actually did like the fear aspect of it versus what we initially hear in the books. It's different, but I also think this is a setup. The doorway closes, or the gateway closes, and Matt isn't there. Matt decided to stay, and unfortunately they have to move forward. As much as they want to get him, they can't. And so they decided to follow Moiraine and Lan, especially Loyal. Loyal was hilarious. He was like, yeah, I'm going to follow Moiraine and Lan because I want to get out. There isn't really a way at the moment to get out, so I'm going to follow them. Yep, I'm going to go follow them. So they travel slowly but surely through the ways, and they find a guiding post written in Ogier, and that's why they need Loyal. they need him to guide them to the next waygate, to Fal Dara. And they find at the post that it's destroyed, or it's like marked with scratches, and they're like, well, what happened? We don't understand what did this. Who else is traveling the ways here? Hey yo, so Perrin managed to see the guiding post hundreds of yards away before anyone else saw it. I wonder why that is. I see you, sir. Your abilities are starting to flourish a little bit there. Okay. We find out later that Trollocs are managing to travel through the waves because they get attacked. But before that, there were conversations like between Moiraine and Lan where they left Matt. And she's like, well, this may be better because the darkness is already inside him and he will be sorely tempted by the Dark One if he is the Dragon Reborn. So he is better off where he is. And Lan agrees with that. But Lan, being cute, we get more Lan, Nynaeve later. Lan and Nynaeve. Okay, I'll talk about that later. But we had a little moment there and it was funny because he was like, yeah, I bet that you a pout. So he lost. I'm like, dang, Lan, really? But I guess that's how they operate. They're just weird, but they weirdly work. It's just... Oh, and can y'all stop interrupting Loyal when he is explaining stuff? I mean, I wanted to learn more about the ways and how they used to be, because I feel like we didn't get enough explanation about the ways. Loyal doesn't get to talk much in these episodes. Let Loyal talk, damn it. Rand and Egwene, they're back together because they miss each other. Apparently, when Rand was being petty earlier, that's all out the window now. He's like, oh yeah, I'm we're back together, at least for now, and everything's cool. But Perrin looks at them weird, and we find out later why. And Nynaeve seems to know too, which again, we find out later. So there's just a lot of stuff going on there that those looks, and it built up with Machin Shin, and then later on with the conversation with our Fab Four. So I thought that was an interesting build up. Egwene again wakes up similar to how she woke up in episode 2. So we're finding out, okay, well, she hears Padan Fane's whistle. Whenever you hear that whistle, that means Padan Fane is nearby. And we see him briefly in the waves in a flashing light. Ooh, yay. And even earlier, Lan and Moiraine realizes that someone is following them. But they managed to make it past the waygate after getting attacked by Machin Shin, only because Nynaeve managed to create a shield, again, based on instinct. It played on her fears, and when she's emotional like that, kind of similar to what happened in episode 4, she burst with a lot of power, and she instinctively created a shield. Again, this is an untried young lady who has a whole lot of power, and considering how reluctant she was before they entered the ways, and how funny it was that she actually wanted to use the one power for once, she manages to save the day again, so Moiraine is able to open the waygate. So the reason why I said that I didn't like it so much is because we again see this burst of power from Nynaeve. And yes, it was good, it's been there, done that, and because she is doing this instinctively, and because Machin Shin is supposed to be absorbing power, the one power, right? But for some reason she's able to shield it with her power. That didn't make sense to me, and I felt like that was kind of like contradictory to what Loyal was saying earlier. So that's why it was throwing me off just a smidge. I felt like it was a little too much. But I do think in a sense that by showing us this is showing everyone, including Perrin and Rand, because at this point Rand hasn't seen Egwene channel, and they haven't seen Nynaeve channel at all. We don't even know if she told Rand and Perrin that she could channel. So you have that too. So I think that was the purpose of this scene, but I think because of the suddenness and the surprise and just the burst of power that she did in episode 4, I just felt like it weakened this moment. And they heard some ish. Like, Rand is having doubts about Egwene having doubts about herself and her power, and something tells me that is stemming from what happened again with the White Cloaks, but also with the conversation that happened in last week's episode with Moiraine and Swan, and Nynaeve being acknowledged as being super powerful. And Moiraine, her fear is going down the wrong path to the point that she kills these kids, and all because she wants to be a hero. Lan is feeling like he's gonna fail to protect her, but which one? Because you're feeling something for Nynaeve, but you're bound to Moiraine. So who is it? It wasn't really clear on who the Machin Shin was referring to. But I know I'm leaning towards Nynaeve. But I also feel like it could go both ways. And then we have Loyal. We didn't hear any fears that Loyal had, and he got attacked just as much as everyone else. So what's that about? Why didn't we hear any of Loyal's fears? I get that we don't know him that well, but that would have been at least a good mystery to solve as far as what his fears are and what he may hopefully do in order to conquer them. We make it past the Waygate into Fal Dara. Yeah, when Moiraine was like, oh yeah, forget what you heard from the wind. Yeah, right. That was some major ish that was being told by the Black Wind. And a lot of that came into play later, but okay, you do you. We finally meet Fal Darans. We get introduced to Lord Agamar, one of our top generals in the books, and then we get Lady Amalisa, and then we get Ingtar, and then we get my boy Uno. He's just such a cursing man. I just love him. And Guy Roberts is definitely Uno. Absolutely, I love the cast so far. But I did think it was unusual with that meeting of Lord Agamar. He seemed kind of a little too arrogant, and he seemed for some reason really dismissive of Lady Amalisa's concerns about the Trolloc Wades. And I'm just wondering what was the purpose of that. I feel like Lord Agamar is usually very cautious. Through this conversation, we do get, unlike what Logain was saying last week at the meeting, at least in the Borderlands, the Borderlanders have a mutual trust and relationship with the Aes Sedai. So as far as an ally, like Moiraine said, they definitely have it with the Fal Darans. They can rest and do what they need to do so they can, prepare themselves to go to Eye of the World. Her expression, Rosamund's expression in this scene was hilarious. And I did like the greeting that, they did with Loyal, because glory to the builders, that they do have that respect for Ogier. And we see Padan Fain exit the Waygate. We don't know how that's possible when supposedly you can only use the one power for the Waygate. That seems to be a plot hole, but maybe they'll explain that at some point later in the future. I really hope so, because there needs to be an explanation for that, for real. Okay, so we get the scene with Lady Amalisa with Moiraine guiding her to the rooms, and we find a lot of information in this scene alone. We hear that Lady Amalisa trained at the tower, but she wasn't raised to the shawl. So it is possible if someone has enough power to be raised to the shawl. And of course they have to pass the necessary test to become Aes Sedai. So raising to the shawl, that means being raised to Aes Sedai. We also learn that with the ring is slightly different. But in this case, she didn't have enough power, and also she wasn't raised. For whatever reason, she didn't pass the necessary test to be raised to the shawl. So Lady Amalisa at least can channel, and they trained her enough to be able to defend herself or defend her homeland. But what Moiraine said later threw me off, because I'm like, why are you sending a message to the White Tower about Matt to the Red Aja? I'm not understanding that unless that was a misdirect. I felt like that was code. I'm not sure, but that was a very unusual request. I don't know what you're doing, Moiraine, but please explain that to me, because I don't understand. Yeah, I think that was actually a really good scene, especially since we are probably going to meet some people in season 2 that are similar to Lady Amalisa. We also hear through this scene with Lady Amalisa that Moiraine wants to talk to men, and we finally get introduced to men. Before we meet men at the bar, Perrin is the one that sees Padan Fain. He thinks he sees him, but then Nynaeve is like, well, Padan Fain's dead. But do you know that for sure, Nynaeve? Did you see a body? Or did you just hear from the other townspeople that he was dead. So yay, we finally meet Min. Kay Alexander, I love her as Min already. Again, this cast is just on point, and she gives us her visions that she sees with the Fab Four. Nynaeve, of course, is suspicious as to why they're being brought into this bar, but her visions were interesting, and I was curious to see how they were going to do it, and I liked how they did it for the most part. So with Rand's vision that she sees him holding a baby, Perrin, who has golden eyes and blood running down his chin. Then we have with Egwene and Nynaeve, I found it interesting that we did not get to hear whose was whose, but there was a white flame and a ring of gold. I do know what those visions mean, but I can't get into it because that's spoilers. But yeah, those are definitely going to be visions that, ooh, that's a setup for sure. But also Perrin's vision is a setup, as well as Moiraine's and even Rand's. We just don't know exactly how that's going to play out yet. But I am interested in knowing a little bit more about Moiraine's. What does that mean exactly? I'm a little bit concerned now because Swan and Moiraine's supposed to be it, and what? But I did enjoy that scene, and we actually get to see her main vision when it comes to the Fab Four, and this is where I really wish, and you can tell that they probably rewrote some scenes. It would have been nice to see Min read Matt if he was there. I would have loved to have seen that because I feel like that would have set some more stuff up as far as his character. The timing and everything that Barney left, his presence was definitely missed in this episode because of the dynamic with the Fab Five, and especially the fact that they haven't seen each other in so long, and so they can all interact together in one setting. It just really sucks. The visions, again, like the sparkling lights and the dark trying to overcome the little sparkling lights, that is one of the main visions that Min has in this series. And I just kind of like how they did it. It was kind of like you could see them, but you couldn't really see it. At first I missed it, but rewatching it, I was like, yeah, okay, I see it now. I see it. So yeah, this was actually a really good scene and a really great way to introduce Min and her abilities, and the fact that the Aes Sedai already know of her abilities in a general sense. I think that is a slight change. And Min was definitely holding back, and you find that out later when Rand talks to her. And another thing I did like about the scene with Min is we did get to see the Fab Four interact and have conversations and just kind of like low-key catch up with each other. You hear about the way of the leaf, Perrin explaining it, and then Perrin and Egwene cracking jokes, especially at Rand. So I thought that was funny, and it was just cute. I really enjoyed that scene because it definitely reminds you way back in episode 1, you had that kind of like lighthearted moment between the characters before things get intense again, which we do with the conversation that we have with Moiraine. She pretty much says because Min didn't really see who the Dragon Reborn is, she's going to take all of them to the Eye of the World. And she does say truthfully that she was trying to prevent that by trying to have her identify one of them instead of trying to get all 4 of them to go, because they're probably going to die. Nynaeve got on my nerves again when she was like, you're lying. Moiraine was like, I can't lie, but she was being evasive again by saying I knew her since she was young. Hopefully by Nynaeve doing what she does, that propelled Moiraine to start being at least a little more truthful and stop being freaking evasive, because she is the queen of that. And at this point you can't really do that with the Fab Four. They have to really at least pretend that they at least have a choice in this, which Moiraine and Lan talk about later. So now our Fab Four have a conference on whether to go to the Eye of the World, and Egwene's like, I'm going. Nynaeve's like, why are you following this chick like blindly here? And Egwene's like, this is not about Moiraine. If there's even a chance that she's right, I don't want to go. My purpose is to protect who I love. Rand, what he said plays into later, especially when he says, I don't want to lose anyone else, especially in this room. He's been in denial this entire time that he is the Dragon Reborn. And things got intense when Matt was mentioned, that because Perrin was saying, you know, Matt could be the Dragon Reborn, but Egwene scoffed at it. He left. And then Rand, of course, had to bring up again the fact that she's an expert in that. And that's when Perrin got bass in his voice, like, excuse you. And then Nynaeve was trying to break it up, but she wound up revealing that Perrin's been having some feelings for Egwene, and he has for a minute. And so when I think back to episode 1, Layla's hostility makes way more sense now. And I still feel like a baby was involved with that. But Rand mentions, okay, you didn't propose to Layla until I got with Egwene. Y'all, I had to go back to Eye of the World, because even though I have read this book several times, I didn't remember it. I understand why they're doing it this way. I do. Okay. I'm gonna roll with it. And I do think at the end of the scene, I did find it very Nynaeve to hold her brave for comfort, because she felt like she effed up as far as like splitting everyone up from arguing and trying to and incidentally making things worse, even though she wasn't trying to. And I did like that. I did like that nice touch to it. And this is another reason why I miss Matt, even whether it was Barney or the person that's playing him now. I'm just wondering what that scene would have been like if Matt was there and them arguing. I still think they would have done the reveal as far as Perrin and his feelings, but at least they did mention him. I think they had to bring him into the conversation at some point, because at the end of the day, he is part of the Fab Five and he was a potential dragon. But Rand had to defend him instead of him being able to defend himself. And because of the closeness that we have with Rand and Matt based on their travels and the fact that they are at the end of the day boys, it made sense that Rand would be the one to defend him. And Perrin did a little too by even suggesting that he could be the Dragon Reborn. But then it went off the rails. So we have the conversation with Moiraine and Lan. Moiraine is saying, hey, I like Nynaeve despite her rudeness and just her pettiness. And it's just funny because Moiraine doesn't have that animosity that Nynaeve naturally has for her. It's just sad, really, because Moiraine does like her. It's just like, come on, Nynaeve, can you just get along just a little bit with Moiraine for Lan's sake? Just a little bit? Lan, of course, understands why she's saying that. And we do get a little exposition as far as like how they met. But he mentions, you know, because of how we met and because of your mission, I have a purpose, and that's why they're as close as they are. And I really appreciate that we got that background of both of them as far as their relationship and why they are so close. Like their growth in this show as far as how they interact with the Fab Five as well as with each other, that closeness that they've always had. I love it, y'all. I just love it. I also think with this conversation, we see with Moiraine, maybe what Machin Shin was saying to her is starting to affect her just a little bit, even though she was saying, you know, just forget what it says, because of her nostalgic thoughts, but also how she feels about her relationship with Lan and even her relationship with Swan. And it's an understandable feeling because she's willing to die, but she doesn't want them to die, like she said in the last episode. So I think her thought process is like, something needs to happen here so all of us can make it and the world is saved, so I can go back and hopefully Min's vision is wrong. I'm hoping this isn't my downfall. but that is definitely something on her mind. And again, that's understandable. Lan and Nynaeve. They're official. Oh my goodness gracious. Whew. Alright, so homegirl follows Lan again while he says hello and goodbye, or he pretty much visits someone that we find out later is an armsman from his kingdom, Malkier, that he saved him as a baby. They have that closeness, and that's kind of like his father figure. Lan could tell that Nynaeve was following him, and he eventually, like, so hey, you want to come in? You might as well just come in. And of course, his father figure is like, oh, she's beautiful. And he's like, I had noticed. I'm like, boy, if you don't go on somewhere, you know damn well she's beautiful. And so that was just a nice little scene, and the fact that Nynaeve was included in it, and just you see a little more emotional with Lan because you see that affection that he has for them, especially the little girl. That was cute, and just that scene was just so awesome. You heard the wife, you know, call Nynaeve's to die, which they walk back to his quarters and they're like, oh, well, good night. What? They have that look, and I was like, are you gonna kiss her or not, bruh? I need kissing, I need something. I mean, y'all about to go somewhere next day, and this could be your last night. Can we do something, please? But he doesn't do anything. He says goodnight and goes into his room. And then she starts to leave, but then she comes back. Like, she knocks, and then she, like, comes in. And then she's like, you want me to leave? And he's like, nah. And they do. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I was just like, ooh, yay. Oh, my goodness, Daniel, Henney, and Zoe, that chemistry, y'all. I love them in the books, but I feel like I love them just as much on the show. Probably even better because it's Daniel Henney playing Lan, okay? So, I mean, we got his shirt off. I mean, he was ready. It was like he knew that she was going to change her mind. But, okay, this is kind of like my small gripe with this. So it just seems like she's been chasing him, even though, like, he sometimes talks to her and kind of, like, teases her a little bit. But still, it's kind of like, and I don't know if it's just his way of making it her choice because he's allowing it. It just seems a little weird, but can we have it so sometimes, yes, he'll approach her, but he'll actually be the one kind of bring up their connection versus her trying to move forward the relationship. Like, I want to see kind of like a mutual thing. I feel like we have, but in some ways, I just feel like sometimes it appears as though she's chasing him. So that's my main gripe with it. But other than that, and the thing must have been good if she had to rebraid her braid, if you know what I'm saying. And he asked her to stay. I'm like, yes! We get to learn more about Lan and his lost kingdom. And the fact that he's kind of an orphan, and that's why he is so close to Moiraine. And Nynaeve understands that. Even though she still doesn't like Moiraine. Learning about Malkier and his past was very intimate, and I liked this better because we hear about Lan, but differently, and so I think this was more intimate doing it this way, and it showed, at least with Nynaeve, he can be close to her and be vulnerable, which is, whew, that makes me like it even more. Nynaeve, yay. Y'all, there was so much foreshadowing when it comes to Rand and Egwene's conversation. That was actually a really good scene too, even though I had to roll my eyes just a little bit. But again, it was cute when Rand mentioned Egwene going to the White Tower, and definitely him not wanting to lose her, especially because of what happens later. But yeah, they had that conversation, they apologized to each other. And question, now that I think about it, so how did Matt leave as soon as the gateway closed and he went off on his own, and then Pat on Fane just happened to be like, okay, let me just open this gate and follow them? Or was there a confrontation between them? But yeah, what Rand was saying to Egwene, and then of course later what Egwene was telling Rand about standing with him, even if it is you, that is Rand and Egwene as far as their friendship and their closeness and their love for each other ultimately. And I think that's going to play in later for reasons. After Egwene and Rand redo the do, Rand gives us a flashback to Beltane night when Tam has a fever dream. And we finally get a little more details. So Rand has been dealing with this since that night. He's been wondering what Tam was talking about, and then what happened with Dana. He channeled then, even though we didn't realize that's what he was doing. There was a possibility that that's what he was doing, but it wasn't really shown for sure until now. And then we flash back again to the ways he channeled again to protect Egwene. So him recognizing Dragonmount, his place of birth, and there's another reason why he recognizes Dragonmount, but that'll come later. Hopefully we will get a flashback on that. We hear more of what Machin Shin said to Rand, saying that you've been in denial this whole time. You are. Stop denying it, bro. You are the Dragon Reborn. Yeah, y'all. Rand is it. Then he gets confirmation from Min, because even she didn't tell Moiraine this. And so we see the birth of Rand, y'all. And Min even says that, like, her vision was very thorough for someone so young. She was a little girl when that happened. So we get the sense that she is older than Rand, at least by a few years. She mentions 3 women and rainbows and unicorns and carnivals. I can't remember. Why 3 women? And is Egwene one of those women? Makes you wonder. I'm curious. Aren't you? I'm just a little bit curious. I did like that scene with Rand and Min. I'm hoping for more for reasons. And the next day, I did think it was cute that Egwene waited in Nynaeve's room, and then Nynaeve walks in. It's like, oh, where were you last night? This bed has not been slept in, ma'am. All right. And they're like, okay, cool. Nynaeve, of course, apologizes for making it awkward. And then we end the episode with Rand and Moiraine heading off to the Eye of the World, leaving our other heroes behind because they want to face this alone. They feel like to protect everyone else, which is part of Rand's DNA. That's how he is. He's naturally like that, which is gonna get I know Rand's protectiveness is gonna be ramped up a lot in this series, so get ready. This was just, we're starting to see the major protectiveness that is Rand. And Moiraine, even, she's going to do what she can to help Rand face the Dark One and make sure that he succeeds. And that's her mission. She is ride or die for that. And his journey is just beginning, y'all. And it's going to be Josha. There's going to be some scenes that I'm hoping he kills, like, as far as his acting ability, because there's a lot going on with Rand. Like, there will be. And I'm definitely looking forward to the season finale, this confrontation with the Dark One, or is it? And we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that battle plays out, but we also will hopefully see what happens with the rest of them. I mean, because like Lord Agamar said, like, they've been getting some raids lately, so who knows what's going to happen when everyone else falls behind. And again, we still don't know what Padon Fane's up to, so hopefully we will get to see more of him as well. The season finale is probably going to set up even more stuff. I don't know what, but it will be very nice to see. And I'm going to miss this show. I'm going to miss this show. I'm going to miss getting to know everyone, and now I'm gonna have like a long ass wait to the second season. But it'll be really interesting to see how they end this, for real. But I'm looking forward to it. What are y'all thoughts on this episode? Comment below, let me know. Did you know, for my non-readers, did you figure out that Rand was the dragon before? Because it was subtle this entire season. It was definitely subtle. And the fact that everyone else pretty much got character development except for Rand, maybe. He was kind of like off to the side. He had his little moment here and there. But so hopefully people were paying attention to that. And hopefully you're not too disappointed. But I think, I do genuinely believe that people will, especially non-readers, will enjoy Rand's journey as the Dragon Lord. Because it's not this cut and dry. He doesn't want this. No one wants this, really. He has this burden, and you have to worry about the madness as well. And the fact that he has this pressure now, and what his journey is with that. Is the last battle going to happen next week? We don't know. So we'll definitely figure that out next week. Of course, if the last battle happens now, like what's going to happen the rest of the season? No, we just don't know anything. So we're going to see if Rand and Moiraine succeed. We'll see. But yeah, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe if you want to hear my thoughts on the season finale. Love to hear from y'all. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. And you can definitely follow TeamJVS on Instagram, Twitter, all forms of social media. Thank you again for watching my videos. And I'm out. Bye.